cost? How do you get to, did you want to film this part or?
That's
No.
fine now.
Are you
I
filming
just
now?
started.
You have?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just started.
So for us, when we begin working with the church, as far as wanting to come, whether it's for Love Bulgaria or any other event, you know, if that week doesn't happen to work and you want to come another time, we would put you in a place where maybe you work with kids in 2 or 3 different villages. We generally go only a couple days in each village. 5 days is too long. Over exposes them because they're not used to that much activity for their children. So we'll generally do 2 here, 2 there, and since we have 9 church plants, we have lots of places where we can send you to begin to help do a Bible school or a kids program along those lines. If it's a non-youth group coming, a group of adults, there's lots of things to do based on your skill set. We don't generally do too much by way of construction, although often on a team there may be some cleanup or there may be one day or an afternoon where you help with the project. As we get these homes started for the girls, we're going to have to do some fixing up of those, cleanup of those. Now we have a lot of unemployed, construction workers, so we try to use them first. But having extra manpower just to help clear out brush and move stuff for Jesus never hurts. But most of the time we try to do programs that use your skill sets to share the gospel in a creative way. If we have some teachers that are good with the Bible, we'd love to have them come and do some Bible training for our pastors. Now, a lot of our pastors are Roma, and the truth is with the Roma pastors, most of them have never finished high school. Some of them have never finished grade school. So it has to be at a very simple level if they're going to learn. So you might think, well, I don't know the big theological terms. Great, leave them at home. They won't understand it and you'll overwhelm them. But giving a very simple, practical overview is an awesome component of helping us. We had a group of ladies, for example, from California, 9 ladies that came. They did kids every week, and then on the weekend they did a women's conference for some of the Roma ladies. Now the Roma women work much harder than the men just because they do all the things of life. They do the cooking, they do the cleaning, they're washing by hand on a washboard quite often, and so their hands are very tough and rugged. One of the ladies, she was a 62-year-old grandmother, said, I don't know why I'm on this trip, but God seemed to impress me I needed to come, and so I'm here. And as we discussed what to do with the women's conference in between the teachings to kind of make it special for the ladies, she said, well, I'm a physical therapist, nurse by trade, and we would do a lot of hand massages. I could teach you all how to do that, and we could give the ladies the massages, and it was the hit of the ladies' conference. A 62-year-old grandmother came, not knowing why, but God used her to help us connect and engage with a group of people we might not have otherwise. One of the other churches recently, in the last couple of years, sent a team for the 2nd time, and the team's leader's daughter wanted to come so bad because she kind of fell in love with the country via her mom. And so they said, can she come? I said, I don't care who you bring. That's totally up to you, but as the team leader, keep in mind you've got to take care of your team. And if the team's in crisis and your daughter's in crisis, where's your loyalty? You've got to make sure that somehow everything is covered by your group, because I can't do that. And so they worked it out and got approval, but they said she's not coming just as a tag-along, she's a team member. And she was 8 years old. And she taught the gospel cube. It's a big square thing that you open, it shows different pictures, as an 8-year-old to a group of Bulgarian children, and shared the gospel. So you're not too young, and you're not too old to be used by God in Bulgaria if you're open to allowing Him to use you when you come. See, the problem is we want to have a checklist. It's for us all about doing. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. And sometimes when you come to serve God, it should be about being. Yeah, there's going to be tasks to accomplish, but the task is not nearly as important as the impact you have on the people, the love you show to them, how you care for them, how you engage them. And it's hard to describe that to you before you get there. But come being willing to do whatever, because probably about half of whatever we plan doesn't work out. Weather changes, situations change. Where'd he go? You were talking to me at dinner about your plans when you went to South Dakota last week didn't work out the way you thought. And so just keep that in mind. Flexibility is the key component of coming on a trip to Bulgaria. So if it's a youth trip, if it's an adult trip, if it's a combination, once you get your team in place, we can help you set the schedule of what you need to do to make the most of your skills and talents. We have anywhere from 12 to 15 groups that come annually from around the world to Bulgaria to our mission. Galloway's worked with a group of schools called Charis Bible Colleges, and they send 6 to 8 teams alone because all of their kids have to have mission experience to graduate. And they found that we give them one of the best mission experiences of every school is telling the other. So we have kids coming from Germany, from Canada, from England, 2 different schools in England, and probably another 1 or 2 that I don't know about yet that are coming. So we're glad to have you. We'll put you to work in a very productive and positive way. So once you decide you want to come, what does it cost? That's always the question. And the cost is your airfare and $50 a day per person for food, lodging, and transportation once in country. Depending on where we house you, you will not be housed in homes. You'll be housed in some form of a hotel, hostel, or motel kind of environment. Homes are not made for it, and it just creates more problems than it's worth. I mean, you'll serve them, but there's a point where you have to get away and be out of that environment, especially if you're working with the Roma, the gypsies, because it's just so heartbreaking. You need to be able to take a breath for it, because it can be overwhelming there. And that's basically the price, whether it's the Love Bulgaria conference, whether it's working in villages. We've just found we can do it at $50 a day. Now, if you're coming to do a project that costs money, you may want to raise some funds for project costs, but that's depending on what we negotiate. There's no requirements. You have to raise an extra $1,000 so we can pay for materials and stuff. But if you were to come and need to do repairs on something or want to, any monies that you could raise to help with that would be appreciated, because it's not like I have lots of extra monies to go in that direction. But most times in the ministry, we have the supplies, or you bring the supplies with you. Most groups come with crafts and ideas of games, and we have a lot of materials. We have parachutes, we have balls, we have game equipment. So we have large twister things. We've handmade twisters that you can get, like, I don't know, 10 kids, 12 kids on it at a time. They love it because they never played otherwise. So we have stuff that can help you along those lines. Most trips will run somewhere between 7 to 10 days, depending on what you want to do. Quite often, groups will want to take on a bit of biblical history. I live an hour and a half from Philippi, Joppa, Berea, Thessaloniki. Ever heard of those cities in Acts? So you're that close, you might as well take a day or two and go down and see some biblical history while you're there. And then when you read it, you have a better idea of what is the terrain like. What was the city actually like? How far apart were these things? Because, we think, well, he was in jail. Well, the jail from the Agora, 200 feet? 200 yards? No, not feet, 200 yards, something like that. It's not very far. And yet, where is he? Well, he's over there preaching. Well, bring him back. All of the stories can come to more life because you get a very good idea of how much space it took. Joppa and Philippi are only about 2 miles apart. Very close. So you can see Lydia's baptism and those places. So that's, and if you want to do that, it's a little more than $50 a day, because the hotel, if we spend the night there, is more than that. So we add an extra $50 on the days you go to Greece if you want to do that, as far as the costs go. So for us, it's just the $50 a day per person based on the number of days. The day you arrive and the day you leave are considered one day. They're not 2 days. Because you're generally not there for all 3 meals, because you'll get in the afternoon and leave in the morning. Otherwise, that's how you count the days. As far as training goes, we can help you with things to prep your team, but I assume the team leader here and I will negotiate and dialogue, and then you will get them ready. When they come, we'll have orientation, we'll do all the things so that they know what to expect and how we're going to work, and who's in charge and where to go and where not to go, and what to say and what not to say, and any cultural faux pas we'll correct you with. But there is a lot of things on our website. So for example, we have a whole section under our resources that teach you basic phrases. So when you come, you know how to say hello, how are you? Where's the bathroom? I'm fine. Where's the bathroom? How old are you? Things to create some conversations. Most young people and adults would be able to function in English. You see, after the fall of communism, they began teaching English in first grade. So by the time they're teenagers or young adults, they've had 10, 15, 20 years of English in some component. They read their movies. They don't watch them, they'll listen to them. They're all in English with Bulgarian subtitles. So when I go to a movie theater about twice a year, it's no problem because I hear the movies in my language. They're having to read the dialogue. You go to the store and you close your eyes, you might think you're in Walmart. It's the same kind of music playing. It's not their music, it's our music. They want to become westernized. And those that really are excited, like at our youth conferences, will latch on to you very quickly. Or usually what happens is 2 or 3 go with this guy, and 2 or 3 with this gal, and all week they're together and they're doing this. Now how do you say that? In Bulgarian we say it this way. How do you say this in English? What's this called? And they begin to teach each other what words are, what things are, so that they build friendships, they build relationships. You'll find that you'll have another 25, 30 Facebook friends in another country. I've traveled enough now that I think I have Facebook friends on every continent. I'll even phrase that. I have Facebook acquaintances on every continent. Because I don't think I can really manage the 2,800 acquaintances that are in my Facebook contacts right now and call them friends. Maybe someday, but right now my brain's not that competent. But you'll find that you will meet and young people that will change your life. It's not a difficult process. We'll work with you. We'll help you think through it. If you want suggestions, we don't require this, but having done youth trips for years before going, we have application ideas to make sure parents are fully aware of what's going on, the students are aware of what's expected. We can help you create those if you need to, just so it's, because you'll need to have documents to take minors outside the country. They'll need to be notarized, there'll be that step, but if we can help you, the visa office in Indy has a whole notebook they'll send you for free on how to make that happen and work very successfully. So, I'm going to pause, take a drink of water. Are there questions you have? Or did I explain it, or are you all just really confused?
Looking at just an overall cost, with transportation, the figure you gave me, about $15 a person, is that right?
Somewhere between 14 and 15, yes.
For a 7-day trip.
Let's see, 7 times, yeah, somewhere in that range. Again, depending on the time of year coming, summer is tourist in Europe, but if you come in the fall or spring, if you weren't a youth team, you might get it cheaper. And I would always suggest that you work with a travel agent. You don't book it online yourselves. Because if something goes wrong, they'll go to bat for you. They can run interference with the airline, but you've got minors overseas and something happens, parents get concerned. But you can call your travel agent and say, deal with this.
In terms of, probably, unless Kyle has a different idea, an adult trip like we took to Mexico, it probably will not be a kid trip.
Okay.
It'll be adults coming to help. And we sent 4 to Mexico. If we raise enough, we probably send more here, right? Is that right? And we raised the money from Mexico, Kyle can tell that, but so that the people that went didn't have to pay much of anything.
Okay. One of the other things, if you're talking about raising funds, the hats and scarves and that here, we have a fundraiser available through our online store. If you'd like to get a supply, sell them, 20% of whatever you sell goes to your mission trip. The rest comes back to the work there. So you make money, they get a good product, we hire more people. It's a kind of win-win across the board.
I'm just going to ask a rapid fire question.
Okay.
One thing is that we go, and this is a very rude question, and Dottie knows, just like I know, I'm not like Kyle. I don't rock it.
I don't either.
I have to be very comfortable in the sleeping quarters that I'm in, or I don't sleep and I don't go.
Okay.
So what would you say, the type of hotel you're staying in, what kind of things are you talking about for accommodations for a quality pastor?
He has early has to pay.
And his wife.
There are all sorts, and depending on where you go, but most of the time we put you into a place that has a private bathroom, full running water, regular toilet, good mattress. Often they'll have breakfast included, continental breakfast. You know, it's not going to be your Hampton, but it's not going to be Motel 6 either.
That's the place you put in $50 a day you're talking about?
No, the $50 a day is what the other one I'm telling you about.
Okay, tell me about the $50 a day for everybody here.
That is what I'm telling you about. If I was talking about the Motel 6, it would be only $3 a day. The $50 a day is your nicer motel. It's not going to be your Hyatt. It's not going to be the Sheraton. It's not going to be your, Hilton. This is more like a Holiday Inn or Hampton style, and that's in the $50 a day category.
You guys stand for a lot.
That's not really, it's not a tent or a floor.
We didn't sleep on the floor. We slept on air mattresses, and there was only one
Close
snake
enough.
and a couple mice. So,
Not being an airman.
No.
Now, the sheets won't be 400 count, but if you want something like that, bring your own.
Don't tell them, don't give them any ideas, sit down.
Okay.
But they're clean and very.
Being more specific, we send a team, we'll say 8 to 10 people.
Mhm.
I guess they would have jobs like training pastors, teaching adults. What is that kind of thing you're talking about?
Depending on their skills and what they want to do. Well, if you were to come and bring a team with you, we would probably set it up so you would train some pastors, but they may help with the kids program, or they may do a youth night, a movie night with them. We have a lot of different movies, and we've got subtitles, and we'll hold a youth outreach with some of the other adults there. They may, if they like children, because you're going to find that when you walk in the village, it's a magnet, you'll find children come up. And so often we'll do a kids VBS type of thing, where you tell a simple story, you play games, you do face painting. It sounds interesting, but these kids don't get any of that. The Galloways have just gone back and they went up to a gypsy village outside Sofia that's got like 20,000 gypsies in it. It's huge. And so many kids started showing up, they would simply take a face paint and put a dot on their cheek, and the kids were like, this is the greatest thing ever happened to me. I mean, it's a red dot, come on. It's not a Spider-Man, it's not a, a flower or a rainbow, it's just a dot, and they're happy. So you got hand out stickers, hug them. Keep in mind that depending on how much physical contact, they do have lice, they do have some of that, and so you just need to be careful. The water is fine to drink, but I wouldn't drink it in the Roma villages. I would take bottled in, but everywhere else, in your hotel, at the restaurants, tap water is fine, perfectly safe and normal, unless you've got a very tipsy disposition, but most people have no problem with that, so it's not like you need bottled water or boiling it.
We went to Mexico, it was more evangelistic mission. Then we went out and met some of the people in Mexico, and we did a lot of evangelistic.
Right.
Say, you do that kind of work here too?
We have at times, but what I would generally do if you wanted to do that is I would work with our local churches, and you would become the draw, and you might do a drama, or you might do share a testimony, but I would have one of them in their own language minister and meet the people so that they can follow up, because too often it becomes the dog and pony show, and we really want them to connect with the locals as well as the international, so we become the excuse, but we get out of the way quickly and let them. And I do that as well when I go. They want me to do all the preaching, and I won't, because I want the locals to engage so they can follow up and disciple and move forward. So we can do that. Our objective right now has been equipping the pastors so they do it, because right now we have pastors that don't know anything. Literally, a lot of the churches we worked with, the pastor was called when an evangelist finished his 2 weeks in the city, and there was a group of believers now. He looked around and said, "You're the pastor." That's their MEG, that's the MAC, that's their appointment, that's their Bible college, that's everything. And all they knew was what the evangelist did. So what do you think church is like? It's an evangelistic outreach every week. 30 minutes of loud music, 30 minutes of why you need Jesus, and 30 minutes of everybody coming forward to be prayed for by laying on of hands. So there was no new believers, but they were coming every week to pray for because they thought that's what worship was, because that's the only thing they saw. And so what we've tried to do is not simply create what they're already doing a lot of, but draw alongside and help them figure out how to disciple, how to teach them on prayer, how to teach them about Bible study, how to teach them about ethics. Because most of the Roma, this is their church component, and this is their new superstition, this is their new witch doctor, this is the new faith, but that doesn't have anything to do with how they do business. And so they're praising God over here, but they're lying and cheating over here in business because nobody's transferred that to the rest of life. And so we found that we're not engaging in a lot of evangelism on our own, but trying to equip the church to be what it's supposed to be, and they will do it naturally as God intended. Special events from time to time, but what ends up happening is that the Roma love special events, because to them it's just like another party or festival, but it's not making any difference. So we try not to do that because it just becomes another excuse to dance and party and have fun, and nothing wrong with that, but it's not giving them spiritual power. Does that make any sense?
What about the money on that? American money or?
You bring your American money and I'll change it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about doing it here. I can do it there. We're back enough that I just keep the dollars till I come back, and then I don't have to pull money out when I get there. But we can get your money
Credit
exchanged.
card is the same thing, you automatically do.
I will probably charge you less than what your bank or the money tellers will charge you.
But they do use your credit card, you automatically do it.
Yes, unless you get a certain credit card. I have one through a bank called Charles Schwab, which anywhere in the world will not charge you an ATM fee. So I just put the money in the American bank, pull it out with my ATM card. It doesn't lose any money, doesn't cost me anything. If you wire it or that to Bulgaria, you're going to lose some of it. So that's what I would tell you to do as a team. Any money you want me to have or you're paying for your stay, you send the check to my American bank. I pull it out, have all the money ready to pay, and you haven't lost any. Any way to save money, I found it.
Listen, you may or may not be able to answer this question, but what about certain shots when you travel?
The only thing you would need to go over there is make sure your tetanus is up to date. Other than that, there's no other requirements, no other shots needed. And the reason I say tetanus is that in your Roma villages, they still have horses that pull carts through the streets. They still have goats and sheep that run through the streets. They love to leave their calling cars. They dry out, they mix with the dirt, and you're walking through all sorts of stuff. So one of the things we will tell you is no open-toed shoes, no flip-flops, no sandals when you're going to the Roma village for your own protection. If you happen to run across, and there's stuff in the streets, and so there may be broken glass, and you cut your toe or something, and germs get in it, and it can get infected. So there are certain, once you decide to come, my wife will send you a list of what to wear, what not to wear, what to bring, what not to bring, so that you're safe, you're healthy, you're comfortable, and you don't overpack or underpack.
What about in case of medical emergency or anything like that? Is there like a hospital nearby?
Depending on where you are, yeah. I mean, there's a hospital in Petrich, Kustendale are the two main areas you'll be nearby. We can get you to a place fairly quickly. If someone comes with, certain medical problems, let us know. I mean, we have people we know that are doctors and nurses that we can engage in contact with. We try not to use the medical facilities there because they're more like the 1940s here in America. They're not up to speed and up to date, although it's life-threatening. And if you get insurance, which you'll have to get through Visa coming over, it has an evacuation clause in it, so if something were to happen and they need to get you someplace for good medical treatment, they would air flight you to London or Germany or someplace to do that.
I was just going to ask you about that, I see that advertised.
Well, when you come, if you're coming as a visa group through Free Methodist Missions, which you'll need to do, they require everybody to, it's like $2.50 or $3, something like that a day per person that you'd have to pay. But then it gives you all the coverage medically when you need over there, and they have the contact, so if something were to happen, you simply call that international number, and they'll get working on making it correct. If it's life-threatening, i.e., you're bleeding, my main artery is done, we'll do the medical treatment we can there. But if you start to have some sort of attack or appendicitis where you might need to get airlifted, we'd airlift you.
Are your electrical outlets compatible with our things?
No. So leave all of your electrical appliances at home because they won't work. Now, your cell phones and that sort of thing, first of all, won't work over there unless you pay an arm and a leg for international rates. We don't use our numbers from Europe here. We can take a chip and change it out. But if you're in our town or in Kustendale, both of us have internet phones you can call. We have Wi-Fi in our homes. We can let you use the computers. You can be back in touch. In fact, Bulgaria's got better internet than America does. because they had nothing, so they put the fiber optic in everywhere. And it's actually very cheap because it doesn't cost them what they charge you to actually run the system here. It's what you're willing to pay. We get our cable, we get our internet, and we pay $23 a month. And that's for 100 megabytes a second download speed on our internet. Our cell phones, including unlimited Wi-Fi, run me 19 levas, so I'm paying $12 a month and my wife's paying $9 a month for our cell phones over there. If they didn't charge that, no one would have them because they can't afford them. So that's more expensive because it's based on what will be
So
paid.
yes, your curling irons, your blow dryers, please don't waste the luggage space. Okay, on that.
That's the other thing you have to keep in mind now is all international flights only unless you're flying business or first class, one luggage. It used to be two, but you can only take one.
Even if it does say on the back, it does take a lot of electricity. We've had people come, we've had 3 or 4 blow dryers blow up in 20 seconds. So it's just not.
We actually have,
Blow dryers will let you borrow.
we have some blow dryers that are our outlet that if you come and you tell us your gals have to blow dry their hair, we'll loan them to you and you'll be able to use them and then give them back because it's a different plug, it's a different power outage. Now your computers, because they really don't take much power, almost all of them have a little extra transformer box in the cord, and it will take either one. You just need to get a different adapter for the plug. You can buy it at Myers for $9.95. European, American into the European. But, you know, beyond that, you don't need to bring a whole lot of anything else with you. In fact, if you do bring it, I will encourage you to leave it in the hotel room, your phones or anything, unless they're your only camera, because they're just apt to draw attention to you when you start pulling them out, and they can get stolen, pickpocketed. That's the biggest crime in Bulgaria is petty theft. But if you're flaunting it, they're going to take it from you, especially in the Roma village, where most of our work is done. Now, you'll see a lot of people with cell phones, and then even younger kids, but they're not going to be your iPhones or your Galaxies or your Sonys or whatever else. Some will have them, but most won't. So, and they don't work, so don't bring them, I guess, unless it's your only camera and that's how you're taking pictures. Other questions? Is this helpful at all?
Yes.
Okay.
This may sound like a silly question, but.
Nothing
what's-
silly except the question not
what's the
asked.
climate like there?
Pardon?
What's the climate like, or the weather like, I think we're living on summer.
In summer, it's very warm. Depending on where you go, and when you come, we'll probably try to put you into a cooler area, meaning up in the mountains versus in the valleys. Where we live, we're only an hour and a half, I said, from the Mediterranean. We'll get between 95 and 105 every day in the months of August, July and August. So, but if you go up to the mountains, it's going to be more like high of only about 80. So it's actually kind of comfortable up in the mountains. That's where we run the youth conferences up there, and it's wonderful. It cools off usually quite nicely at night. So our house does not have air conditioning. So at night, we open the windows and have fans, and we suck in the cold air. At 8 in the morning, everything gets shut, the curtains get pulled, and it's comfortable but dark for the rest of the day until about 4 in the afternoon, and then by 8 o'clock we start opening the windows and sucking in the cold air again. We also work very slowly. So if you're coming that time of the year, the schedule will reflect it because parents will not let their kids out to play in the afternoons. Doesn't matter who's here, they just, don't, but they'll stay up later at night. So the schedule, maybe the afternoon is break, but we have programs in ministry starting at 9 and 10 o'clock at night because that's when they're out and it's cool. So all of that will be figured out when you determine when you're coming and how it works. Food is often something people ask me about. Typical, down-home, basic European stews and meats and potatoes and rice and vegetables and whatever's in season is what they cook. You'll have pasta like you did tonight. The only kind of food we don't really get there is Mexican. But we have Oriental and we have Italian. Of course, Italy's not far, but it's basic. You're not going to have any weird fish or crazy guinea pigs or anything like that. It's, pork and chicken. I've had guinea pig and I've had rattlesnake at Mission Church.
You have McDonald's over there?
Pardon?
McDonald's.
Oh, yes, we'll take you to McDonald's at least once, just so you can say, I've been to McDonald's. The closest one to us is about 2 hours away, but it's in Sofia. When you land, we'll take you to McDonald's. It may be the first restaurant you eat in Bulgaria. And only because you've been traveling and we have to get somewhere, we can take a bus through, feed you all quickly, and move on. But then we can check it off the list. You've been to McDonald's, take the cup home in Bulgaria, and then you're all set. We have Burger King too, we have Dunkin' Donuts, we have Starbucks. What else? Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So what do you serve to drink? Who's been in Romania? He says that it's ale every meal is ale.
Well,
I just asked.
you can get that. What we find is that most people will either drink Coke, Fanta, or water. You don't have a lot of problem with alcohol in Bulgaria because they don't have the money. And if they do, I mean, there's not a lot of people that go out and drink a lot to drink. They may have a beer with their dinner or wine with their dinner, but it's like having water.
Like that fizzy water, like, what is it called?
Soda? Club soda?
Club soda.
Mhm.
Gross.
You know, I didn't like it.
Drink it like regular water.
I didn't like it, and I've now developed a taste to where here I'm buying at Walmart. It's called American Clear, and it's carbonated flavored water, and I love it. Try it, you might like it. You can't get anything like it there.
If you were in a gypsy village, you may be served a derby cola or
Oh.
something like that. It does not taste good. I would not recommend you drinking it. But if you want to try something crazy, you can. You can also get a bottle of water, and that's fine.
They generally give foreigners water, but they do have what I would call it the off-brand sodas there. And the off-brand sodas here may be okay. The off-brand sodas there, avoid like the plague. You know, it may cost a little more, but if you need soda, we'll get you the Coke or the Pepsi or the Fanta. Most people fall in love with Fanta Orange. You can't get that here, and they really like it, and it's good, or Fanta Lemon. But we'll make sure you're plenty hydrated. They have interesting pizza. A lot of the pizza will be served without tomato sauce, but they will bring you mayonnaise and ketchup so you put your own on. It sounds weird at first, but it's actually not too bad because it's sweeter ketchup than Heinz, and so it does work. But they just, they don't, that's how they serve pizza. And they also serve lots of interesting things on pizza, like corn and pickles. And peas. Yeah. So. They don't serve spaghetti the same way either, but that's another point.